OnePlus has taken the wraps off of the OnePlus 8 and OnePlus 8 Pro, the follow-up devices to the OnePlus 7T and 7T Pro, and the latest devices aimed at offering flagship-level features at a lower price. The OnePlus 8 comes in at $700, while the OnePlus 8 Pro is a relatively expensive $900. But what do you actually get for that extra cash? And is it really worth it? I've been testing both of these phones and put them head to head to find out if the Pro model is really worth its higher price tag. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps support my work and I would appreciate some of that support. The overall design of the two phones is pretty similar, but there are some key differences to note. For starters, the OnePlus 8 is a little smaller than the Pro model, and while it's not that much smaller, it's quite a bit lighter. It's thinner too, coming in at 8mm compared to the Pro's 8.5mm. Thanks to the slightly smaller build and the lighter feel, the OnePlus 8 feels a little better in the hand. Plus, it's a little easier to reach the top of the phone with one hand, though still pretty difficult. Both of the phones have vertically aligned camera arrays on the back. However, while on the OnePlus 8 the only thing outside the camera bump is a flash, on the 8 Pro there's a fourth camera lens, a flash, and a sensor. It doesn't radically change the overall look of the phone, so it's not really a reason to buy one over the other. That said, the camera bump on the OnePlus 8 Pro is quite a bit thicker than the OnePlus 8, and the result is that it moves more on the desk. I hope that smartphone manufacturers start to move back towards flush camera arrays, but that's probably not going to happen anytime in the immediate future. The color options are a little different, with the standard device coming in two colors, Interstellar Glow and Glacial Green, and the 8 Pro coming in Glacial Green, Onyx Black, and Ultramarine Blue. They're all pretty good looking colors, but I particularly like the OnePlus 8's Interstellar Glow, despite the fact that it's a fingerprint magnet. Perhaps the biggest difference between the two phones is the display, and they're both pretty good. The OnePlus 8 has a 1080p AMOLED display with a 90Hz refresh rate, and while a 1440p display would have been nice, it still looks great, and the higher refresh rate makes for a relatively smooth experience. That said, the OnePlus 8 Pro's display takes things from good to great, offering a 1440p resolution and even bringing a 120Hz refresh rate. Honestly, the OnePlus 8 Pro's display is one of the best of any phone out there. If a good display is important to you, the Pro model is absolutely the way to go. The performance between these two phones is pretty much identical. Both models come with either 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, or 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage, and they both perform excellently in day-to-day use. Everything loaded quickly, including games, and benchmarks confirm that they're some of the most powerful phones on the market. I have an 8GB RAM OnePlus 8 Pro model and a 12GB of RAM OnePlus 8 model, so my standard 8 performed a little better than my 8 Pro, but either way you can't go wrong in the performance department here. The battery capacity on these two phones is a little different, with the standard model offering a 4300 mAh battery and the 8 Pro coming in with a 4510 mAh battery. Both batteries are pretty good, and I was able to get a full day of use and then some from both of the devices. In my battery test, which involves streaming a 1080p video to the phone at full brightness for 3 hours, the OnePlus 8 ended the test with 76% left, while the 8 Pro ended with 73%. It makes sense. While the standard phone's battery is a little smaller, considering the smaller display, lower resolution, and lower refresh rate, it can likely make that battery last longer. Charging those batteries, however, can take a different form depending on what model you go for. That's because of the fact that the OnePlus 8 Pro finally supports wireless charging, marking the first time that a OnePlus phone has offered the feature. The device even supports OnePlus's fancy 30-watt wireless warp charge feature, though only with the company's own wireless chargers. Wireless charging is generally super convenient, and I hope the company brings it to both models next time around. The camera is another major difference between the OnePlus 8 and OnePlus 8 Pro. The OnePlus 8 has a triple lens camera with one 48MP main sensor, one 16MP ultra-wide sensor, and one 2MP macro lens. The OnePlus 8 Pro, on the other hand, has a quad lens camera, with a 48MP main sensor, an 8MP telephoto lens, a 48MP ultra-wide sensor, and a 5MP depth sensor. The standard phone's photos are pretty good, but the OnePlus 8 Pro's images are better. Plus, the lenses on the Pro model are much more versatile than those on the standard OnePlus 8. The Pro even has a fancy new 30x zoom feature, and while you're not going to get very good photos at that level of zoom, it's still pretty cool. That said, neither of the two phones capture great photos in low light. Between the two phones, the 8 Pro offers a better camera, but it's still not amazing, and it doesn't compare with the likes of the Pixel 4 or the iPhone 11 Pro. The speakers on the phones are extremely similar, both offering a loud maximum volume and generally good audio quality for phone speakers. speakers. I wouldn't say that any of these phones offers better speakers than the other, and any differences are extremely minor. The software experience on the two phones is identical, and it's pretty good. OnePlus has long offered a close to stock feel with Oxygen OS, and it's even better with the OnePlus 8 series thanks to the fact that the company has replaced the OnePlus Shelf with the Google Feed. Finally. For a more in-depth look at the difference between stock Android and Oxygen OS, check out the link in the description. The OnePlus 8 Pro is clearly the better phone here, but that's no surprise. Generally, you can't go wrong with either phone, but if you have the cash to spend on the more expensive model, you may find it worth the money. The OnePlus 8 Pro offers a better camera, better display, wireless charging, and a larger battery. And while those features won't be important for everyone, I still think they're worth the extra cash. That said, the standard OnePlus 8 is an incredible phone for the price. Sure, it's more expensive than past OnePlus phones, but it also offers the least number of compromises. Thanks for watching this video, and again, please subscribe to this channel if it was helpful to you. My name is Christian, and I'll see you next time. See ya.